This CBS News special report is part of our continuing coverage of the crisis in the Kremlin. From CBS News headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Drama in the dark in Moscow. It is after midnight Moscow time. Some armored personnel carriers, troop carriers, have tried to break through some barricades around the Russian Parliament building where the elected president of the Russian Republic, Boris Yeltsin, has been holed up, along with the former foreign minister, Edward Shevardnadze. Now, Tony Headley of CBS News is there and describes what is happening.
I'm standing at the corner of two boulevards, right next to the American Embassy. A series of about 10 APCs went through a barricade, and soldiers were firing arms, I believe, up into the air, and then went underneath this underpass underneath one of the boulevards. Now they are surrounded by people who are blocking their passage towards the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As I'm speaking, I can hear the APCs moving, their engines roaring. I cannot see at this point. There's just been a shot. There's just been another shot, and the APCs were moving forward. People around me seem fairly quiet. There's just been several other shots up in the air. I've seen the burst against the black night. People are sort of going towards the APCs, but are being fairly cautious. They're fairly scared. Some more shots.
Tony, these armored personnel carriers, are any of them shooting toward the people or only into the air?
I haven't seen any shots that have gone towards people or seen any sort of impact that would prove that shots were fired towards people. The only shots I've heard, and I've also seen the bursts in the air. There's a lot of yelling going around. People are running backwards and forwards. I don't believe the APCs have been able to go through the barricade. I can see the barricade still standing. It's made up of long trolley buses put widthwise along this boulevard.
Have you any sense of how many armored personnel carriers involved?
There's just been a larger shot, a second with light up in the air. This is not light. These are not personal weapons. These must be the weapons on the APCs, which are shot up in the air.
This is Tony Headley of CBS News outside the Russian Parliament building, not too far from the Kremlin and very close to the U.S. Embassy. We want to go now inside the Parliament building to a Russian journalist, Soviet journalist, whom we dealt with over the years, who's inside the Parliament building now working for CBS News, Artyom Borovik. Are you there, Artyom?
The situation here is more or less okay inside the White House. No panic. Mr. Yeltsin has finished consultations with his advisors about 15 minutes ago and wanted to have a little rest. He no more rest. He is again with his advisors in his office. I'm on the 4th floor of the building of the White House. I see about 12 little fires, and they produce a lot of smoke. And this is the only smoke protection we can organize to make the tank commanders blind. You know, we don't want them to see us. We can hear Kalashnikovs firing. These are the modernized types of Kalashnikovs, automatic rifles. This is I see a lot of people leaving the square here below me. People, as I understand, are a little frightened. This is not a usual situation in Moscow, and a lot of smoke. People still continue to construct barricades, which certainly are nothing in comparison with tanks and armored vehicles, which which I see in front of me. I can also see American Embassy. It is all covered with smoke. I can see some lights there around the embassy. No lights in the rooms and in the offices of the embassy.
Artyom, excuse me now. We're going to try to go right back outside and pick up the description of Tony Headley of CBS News, who is outside the Parliament building. The situation, this is CBS News live coverage of what's happening in the wee hours of the morning in Moscow. Bursts of automatic weapon fire have been heard. Perhaps you could hear them earlier behind our man Tony Headley outside the building as he described armored personnel carriers trying to break through the barricades that Boris Yeltsin's Democratic supporters inside the Russian parliament had put up. Now, according to the Reuters news service, I want to double check that, no, this is United Press International, that a number of people have reported seeing soldiers on top of tanks along the Moscow Ring Road that runs about 2 blocks from where all this is happening, the Russian Republic's government headquarters. Let's see if we can pick up Tony Headley again with more eyewitness of what's happening with those armored personnel carriers, which fired apparently into the air, tried to break through the barricades, and then got surrounded by people supporting Yeltsin and Shevardnadze who are on the inside. Tony?
How many people are near you? What's the size of the crowd?
The size of the crowd is, I believe, around 500. It's very scattered. People are sort of going there and then coming back. I don't think they feel very much at ease. The militia is standing by and watching with everybody else. People are surrounding these APCs, though some of the trolley buses seem to be moving a bit. There's noise of their engines revving. There's no more military presence than these 8 APCs.
Well, it may be time to point out as Tony Headley pauses there, and you could hear some of the automatic weapons fire in the background. Tony said he could not see anyone aiming the fire at any of the people who were trying to protect the Parliament building. At the most he saw was the APCs firing into the air and trying to crack through the barricades. We want to make it clear that while the shots sound like automatic rifle fire, that it's impossible for us to tell whether it in fact was that. It certainly sounded that way, and it is not clear who is doing the firing. There is a belief that this may be an opening effort, a beginning effort to crack through the barricades and at least set up some kind of control by the Soviet coup leadership around that Russian Parliament building, but nobody has confirmed that belief. With Tony Headley of CBS News outside the Parliament building and our stringer Artyom Borovek inside the Parliament building, Dan Rather, CBS News, New York, will have full details on tonight's Evening News.
Crisis in the Kremlin has been a CBS News special report.